Welcome one and all to another Nerdsociety video. I'm your host, Ivan Krolo, aka the Game Raging Psycho, and today we're going to be reviewing Forever Evil number 5. Now, before I start out the review itself, I just want to tell you guys a couple of things. The first thing is I'm sick, which you can probably hear by the sound of my voice, and because I have the flu, I'm going to be probably coughing, maybe even potentially sniffing during the review, so if that troubles you, or if you're disgusted by that, I'm sorry, there's nothing really I can do about it. So, yeah. The second thing I want to say is that I'm going to be sort of splitting this review into two segments. There's going to be a very short, kind of non-spoilery review where I'm just going to give you guys my general impressions of the book, and then there's going to be a longer spoiler-filled review where I'm going to be basically talking about the issue itself in depth. So if you haven't read the issue, or you simply don't care about spoilers, you can just stick around for my more in-depth analysis, as it were, or you can just watch the whole video if you just don't care about spoilers. So with those couple of things out of the way, I'm just going to give you a short rundown of what my general impressions were of Forever Evil number 5. Overall, I really like this issue, and I've been liking this whole series since it began, and I know the big pet peeve people have against it is that it is simply, it's been taking way too long for anything significant to happen. And this is the issue where something really happens. You know, Geoff Johns has been really building up this team this entire time, and at the very climax of this issue, the big thing that very brought the crime syndicate to the main DC universe kind of shows up, and the ball really gets rolling this issue. As usual, this series has been just fantastic in its characterization of not just Lex Luthor, but all of the villains, and you can just tell that Geoff Johns has a lot of fun just writing these guys, you know, sort of interact with each other, because these guys have all sorts of radically different personalities, motivations for why they are villains or anti-heroes and that kind of stuff. And just seeing them sort of interact on a team here is as fun as it usually is. And overall, if you're one of those guys who's been really enjoying Forever Evil, and if you're one of those guys who kind of dropped it because the pace was just taking too long to get going, and believe me, I feel your pain. I really think these issues should have come out, you know, every 2 or 3 weeks, because the pace has been admittedly kind of bad. But this is the issue where things really start to pick up, and I just think that you guys should really check this comic book out. It's probably the best thing DC put out this week, and it's one of the best DC series going on right now. So that was my short kind of general overview of it, my non-spoiler review. So I'm going to give you guys some time, you know, to leave the video, and I'm going to be giving a kind of annotation where I'm just going to tell you the spoilers start at this time. So yeah, if you haven't read the issue or you're bothered by spoilers, please leave. I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that. Alright, so if you're still here, that means you don't care about spoilers, or you've already read the issue. So the general shtick of the whole issue is the big battle with between the villains who are with the crime syndicate and Luthor's group that is against the Time Syndicate, who also kind of team up with Batman and Catwoman. As I said in my short non-spoiler review, the banter is really what made this issue work, and there are several great lines between characters and that just show just how much fun Geoff Johns is having writing all these bad guys together. There's this one moment where Deathstroke has a gun next to Luthor's head, and he could just easily, you know, just shoot him and kill him right then and there, and he tells him, "You spent billions upon billions of dollars making this high-tech suit specifically designed to kill Superman, and you failed to build a helmet. And I'm 100% sure that you didn't do that just so people can know it's Lex Luthor in the suit." And it's just a great kind of jab at Lex's whole arrogance, because Lex is an arrogant character. You know, he thinks he's the smartest man on Earth, and in a lot of ways he kind of is. and he just thinks he is, kind of the ultimate human, as it were. And Deathstroke's whole jab just really made me laugh, and it just makes perfect sense. You would question that in real life. Like, if this guy really built this fancy schmancy suit to kill a guy like Superman, why does he keep his, face exposed where someone can just easily attack him from? And the way Deathstroke puts it, it's just a simple explanation for why he does it. Another great moment is where Lex is having kind of this narration in the very beginning of the issue. The issue starts out with Power Ring running away from a very pissed off Sinestro, and Lex is just kind of he's kind of mirroring what Power Ring is doing, saying how when he and his sister were children, he was very much afraid for her because the other children really were hard on them because the Luthor name didn't have any respect. In fact, something happened to Lex's family in the past which made people around him just hate him and his family, and because of that he had a pretty hard childhood. And when the kids, basically went after him and his sister, he told her to go hide somewhere, which is mirrored by Power Ring also hiding away from Sinestro, as you can see in the art. And Lex just says, I tried to stand my ground, but I couldn't because I was scared and I was weak, and I basically promised myself that I would never let anyone else push me around. And this just also continues something that Geoff Johns is trying to do, and we already know that Lex is going to be on the Justice League once this whole thing is over. And he has made me care about Lex Luthor in a way I have never cared about this guy. He's found a way to humanize a guy like this, who's an egotistical bastard who would pretty much destroy the whole planet just so he could come out on top. He's found a way to humanize this guy but not make him any less awesome. Lex, when you think about Lex Luthor, or at least when I think about him, I think about the DC animated universe version of Lex. He's a manipulative, cold, shrewd businessman. He also has tons of charisma. He has all these different doomsday devices at his disposal, and he's secretly a mad scientist. And then how can you humanize a guy like him but still keep him this charismatic, manipulative, mad scientist, shrewd businessman kind of dude? And Geoff Johns has masterfully done it here. He's able to truly give this guy dimension. He's given him layers, and he's made me care about this guy who I usually never cared. When I saw Lex before, I thought he was a cool villain and all, and I understood the point of him. I understood why he was Superman's arch nemesis and why he didn't like Superman, but he was never one of those villains I was really that into, I guess. I don't know why. He never just clicked with me. But the way Geoff Johns writes him here, he really sort of clicks with me, and you can really see through his narration and the things he said to Bizarro or the things he said to us through narration, you can pretty much tell that this guy's whole life has really, really shaped him into the man he is today, for better or for worse. There's also another fantastic moment where Batman is, he's with Catwoman, and the whole Injustice League has kind of been assembled. You got Captain Cold, Black Manta, Lex Luthor, Deathstroke, Sinestro. Most of the big DC villains, bar Joker, are here, and on the opposite end of them, you got Batman and Catwoman, who are also kind of working together. And Batman basically tells them, he shouts at them, "You guys are going to do this my way." And then there's just this great moment of silence where all these ultra-powerful villains like Captain Cold, Lex Luthor, Bizarro, all these guys just stare Batman down. He doesn't flinch, but Catwoman tells him, she kind of whispers into his ear, "Batman, you are not in charge here. These guys are in charge." And it's fantastic because it shows that, Batman fanboys are probably going to hate that moment because it doesn't make Batman seem as badass, like, oh yeah, he stared down Sinestro and Lex Luthor and Bizarro and all these other guys, Batman is awesome. But I just love the way how realistically this scene would happen, because these guys are just able to show how insignificant Batman is, without the Justice League. What can Batman do against Bizarro? What can he do against Sinestro? Like, what the hell could he do against these guys now that they're on a team and they are not taking any prisoners? And it's a simple, short scene, but it's so powerful, and it's just so realistically handled. I just loved it. I know hardcore Batman fanboys are gonna hate it because it doesn't have Batman just, you know, making all the other villains shit their pants, you know, just because he stares them down. But I myself, I really enjoyed it, and I just love it when Batman is knocked down a peg. You know, he is a, you know, I like Batman. I actually love Batman, but he is an OP character in a lot of people's eyes, and it's just nice to see him knock down a peg. And the line Catwoman tells him, these guys are in charge now. It perfectly mirrors their situation, because even if Batman wins, like, he doesn't know the Justice League is going to be coming back. Like, even if he does succeed in his mission, you know, he could be the only, you know, superhero left in the world. You know, he could just be switching out the crime syndicate for his universe's villains, potentially taking over the planet. And he doesn't know he can save Superman. He doesn't even know where the hell the others are. You know, he doesn't know if he can ever bring them back. So, in a lot of ways, you know, even if Batman does win against the crime syndicate in this battle alongside Lex and Sinestro and all these other guys, you know, he still could be potentially screwing himself over because he is the only superhero left. And we know that's not the case. We know the Justice League is going to come back, but I'm just saying Batman in that universe, along with Catwoman, doesn't know that. And for all he knows, he could be one of the last few, you know, superheroes left in the entire planet. The ending also shows us the big threat that destroyed Earth 3. Now, this has been a whole thing with the crime syndicate where they basically kept talking about how there was this entity that destroyed Earth 3 and it forced them to travel to the main DC continuity. And I originally thought it was Darkseid, because Darkseid, it is well known that Darkseid's daughter, you know, she traveled from dimension to dimension, and, you know, in an attempt to escape her father, and in response her father just, you know, went from dimension to dimension, ravaging entire worlds, entire galaxies, entire universes, searching for her. So I just thought, maybe it is still Darkseid. We don't know. We don't see a boom tube or anything, you know, kind of open up. So it could be basically anything. It could be like the new 52 version of the Anti-Monitor. It could be Darkseid again, or it could be something completely new. It might be tied into this mysterious prisoner that they brought along with them from Earth 3. You know, maybe it's not Alexander Luthor. Maybe he is somehow tied to this entity that did destroy their planet. And this is really the issue where things come to a head. This is the issue where the team is finally formed, where all the players are in place and things are about to go down. My biggest problem with this is not the art, because David Finch, I know I don't talk about the art much because it just kind of goes over my head, but the way David Finch draws all these characters, it's perfect. It perfectly fits the tone of the story, and while I'm not usually a big sort of David Finch fanatic, I really couldn't see who else could have done this book except David Finch. I think this is one of the best, you know, writer-artist pairings they could have found for an event, and it's also really refreshing to see an event that is drawn by one artist. There is no one else who just randomly pops up here to do a couple of issues that are completely different from David Finch's, and they just completely break the flow of the story. As of right now, the story is completely drawn by one artist, and for an event of this scale, that is pretty damn impressive in my book. But that being said, Geoff Johns really should have had this happen last issue or in issue 3. I really feel like he decompressed this way too much, and unless the last 2 issues are these kind of big 30-40 page type deals, I really don't know how he plans to fully pay this off. And I know he's kind of doing the Infinity thing where the Justice League of America and the main Justice League book are kind of serving as backup books for Forever Evil. You know, they're giving more context to what's going on, and then you have the the official Forever Evil tie-ins like Rogue's Rebellion, Arkham War and Argus. I'm reading some of them here and there, but they don't seem to be really advancing the plot of the main book along like the Justice League books are. They just seem to be serving to give the Forever Evil event more scale, I guess. You know, they want to show what's happening to the other corners of the DC universe, which yeah, they're doing a pretty good job with that. You know, I do like that they're sort of doing more world building with these other issues. But I will be really pissed off if this comes out in trade and all the other side material that's going on in the Justice League book isn't included. It's going to really, you know, it's going to kind of break the flow of the story. I don't know, I can't perfectly word it, but I just feel like it depends way too much on the Justice League book that's also written by Geoff Johns to fill in all the holes. You know, in that book you get the crime syndicate origins happen. You get all this other stuff that you kind of need to understand the villain's motivations in this, and I think that was a pretty big mistake. I feel like he should have excuse me, sorry. I feel like he should have done this in the main book, but at the same time, I think that if he did do that in the main book, it would probably just kill the pacing even more. So pacing is this book's biggest problem, and if they do collect this in trade in a smart way down the line, this problem could be alleviated. But as of right now, that's the book's biggest problem. I really don't see how he's going to be able to give this whole thing a satisfying conclusion in just 2 issues, and I feel like the series thus far has just been way too reliant on its side material to fill in all the blanks. So yeah, those are my 2 biggest problems with, I guess, the whole storyline as a whole. But for this issue itself, I really have nothing bad to say. I love the way all the characters were written. I really enjoyed the banter between, you know, characters like Batman and Lex, or Captain Cold and Black Manta, or Lex and Deathstroke, or Sinestro and Power Ring. You know, there were just great interactions and great banter between them all. I really liked the art in this issue, and overall, I just highly recommend this. I seriously think you guys should definitely check this out. I give it an A+, and it's probably my favorite thing I've read this entire week. So yeah, I know this review is significantly longer than it probably should be, and I know I do have a tendency to just go off on tangents, but hey, if I didn't, I wouldn't care, you know. I just kind of like really explaining this kind of stuff, and I know that can be a turnoff for some of you guys, but yeah, I'm going off on a tangent. Yeah, so yes, I apologize for really dragging this thing out, but I do it because I care. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.